Wow! What's happening, everybody? That's right. It's your boy. I'm back. It's Monday. That's right. It's Monday. It's 2 o'clock on the Eastern Standard. Oh, excuse me, Eastern Daylight Time. 1 o'clock Central, and yeah, the rest. Y'all know what it is. I am your host, Stanley Doucette, and welcome to Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to drop some jewels, some knowledge, some this and some that, and all of those other whacks. But we're going to do all of those things because we want to make sure that we have some powerful information and some powerful things for each of you to literally walk away with as we began to do this. But before I do this, I want to shout out everybody all over the world. I don't care if you call it in from Argentina. I don't care if you call it in from Kosovo. I don't care if you call it in from the Arctic. I don't care if you call it in from Georgia. Wherever you, I say call it in, but wherever you're listening at, and whenever you listen to this, I say hello, 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 hello. And all of my people in New Orleans, all of my family, friends, relatives, shout out to you guys. Whoa, now we here, we in the building. And this is another powerful episode that we're going to share with you on today. So sit back, relax, get something to take some notes with because some of this stuff may be able to help you in the long run on some things that we're going to talk about. Now, you guys know Father's Day is coming. Yeah, Father's Day is fastly approaching. And for those that have not thought about their fathers in forever and all of those other things, I understand. But remember, that's your father, and we'll get into all of the differentiations on that. But today I want to say it's not Mother's Day, it's Father's Day. And I know sometimes people say, like, well, we're gonna do this or we're gonna do that. But for Father's Day, we never get that all of that. For Mother's Day, they have whole sections in stores just for Mother's Day. They have all of the flowers out just for Mother's Day. They have everything out. It's all pretty, it's wonderful, it's exciting, and all of that great stuff. But for Father's Day, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, keep that same energy for Father's Day. Y'all just, I don't know, y'all just don't do us right. Y'all don't do us right. Keep that same energy for Father's Day. But listen, we love all of the mothers, but we're going to talk about fathers because there's a lot of times we just don't get that love. But today on our show, we're going to talk about the fathers, but I want to talk about something very specific, believe it or not, the difference between a father and a dad. That's right. We want to talk about the difference between a father and a dad. So if you have something to take notes with, please do so. Now, if you're driving, you can't take notes. Come on back later on, go to Let's Talk with StanleyDoucette.com, download it, and you can take the notes at that point in time. If you're listening and you have the ability to take notes, go ahead and take some notes on this one because I think this is good and it'll help us out in the long run. All right. So the difference between a father and a dad. So let me take my time and kind of walk through this. All right. A father is someone who has biologically fathered a child. Let me say that again. A father is someone who has biologically fathered a child. Now, in the Bible, it will say something like, he knew her and they produced a child, right? In these streets, it's basically a guy had sex with a girl and the girl got pregnant and had a child. That's all it is, right? I don't want y'all to get too confused on when they say fathered. So we want to make sure we have that. Now, at the same time, while a dad is someone who takes an active role in raising and nurturing their child. Let me say that again. A dad is someone who takes an active role in raising and nurturing their child. So that's the difference between a father and a dad. Now, can you be both? You absolutely can be both. You can be a father and you can be a dad. Now, let me put a highlight here just for a second, and then we're going to come on back. There are some ladies that are out there that they'll say, I made a mistake with this guy, which is, hey, that's a mistake. We understand. But they don't want that individual to be a dad to their own child. That is just wrong. we have to make sure we rectify that situation. It doesn't matter if you made a mistake, you did it on purpose, and now you're mad at him. Remember, everything is just about the child, not about your feelings, not about your relationship. It's about the child, right? So we want to do every single thing we can to make sure the child has a healthy and wholesome upbringing. So as they are growing up, they have no issues mentally, psychologically, emotionally, and so on, that both parents are there, the mother and the father, and they're both are there. Okay. So let's make sure we cut all of that out. Now, let's get into it. A father is someone that, that one time you had a good time, or perhaps it was planned out, but he didn't make the cut, or he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Regardless of what the situation is, that's that father. That father, he out there. It could be somebody that's out there in them streets for real. You know what I mean, in them streets. I'm keeping it PG. Y'all know what I mean. So as a father, someone as father to child, whatever he's out there doing or have did, unfortunately or fortunately, I should say, that now we that individuals have produced a child. So you have the child. All right. So now let's move on to the dating part and allow that individual to have first abilities, first access to being the dad to the child. Now, again, some men have failed that test. So, for whatever that reason is, I'm not getting into all of that, but they have failed that test. Now, the failing on their own, that's something we need to talk to the men about. But when a female doesn't allow that male to see the child, that's something totally different. And that's the thing we talked about we have to cut out. Dads, fathers, you father the child, but you haven't talked to the child, or you've not tried to reach out, you went MIA and all of those other things and yada, yada, yada. Listen, pimp, listen, partner, listen, my G, listen, OG, my dog, whatever you want to call yourself, go ahead and make that connection again, right? Regardless of what they're saying, go ahead and make that connection again. Whether it's another male, you had a boy, you had a girl, go ahead and make that connection, because we want to make sure that they have those nurturing coming from both of their parents. We want you to play an active role in raising that child. All right. So that's the difference between a father and a dad. Let me give you some more. The difference between a father and a dad is not just biological and legal aspects, but also in emotional and psychological perspectives, right? So again, a father, you just lay it down, you gone. But now let's talk to the dads out there. Let's talk to the dads. Now keep this also in mind. You can be a dad to people that you may not even know. It could be a cousin, it could be a friend, it could be somebody that just you wind up just they just came and stuck to you, and you wind up playing that dad role. If you're in that space, you're still playing an emotional and psychological space, right? So a lot of times we have a lot of great men that's stepping up and mentoring individuals, being that father figure, speaking into those individual males, those young ladies, right? Literally pouring into them so they have the emotional and psychological perspectives that they need. And that's important. Dads that are out there, I know sometimes they get hard, sometimes they get rough, sometimes it's frustrating, sometimes it's aggravating, because you may not even get all of what you deserve to get. But in this situation, you're doing God's work. You're making sure that individual have a actual dad in their life. Recently I just saw it was a clip. I don't know if it was on IG, Facebook, or Instagram, whatever, Twitter, not Twitter, I don't do Twitter no more. Whatever, right? Whatever, one of the social medias, and I'll never forget this. Let me paint this picture for you. I was hurt, and it was just a little short clip. So, if I understand correctly, and for all of my military individuals out there, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't beat me up. Just share with me, like, no, Stanley, this is how it goes, right? So it was this young man that was in the Air Force, and for what I understand, once they graduate, the family members have to tap them out, right? And so they have family members tapping them out for graduation. Well, they went around and looking at all of the individuals being tapped out. They having moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, step cousins. Everybody at people's graduation, they're there. to hug them and congratulate them on completing the first part of their military journey and all of that stuff. And it's a beautiful sight. But in this particular site, excuse me, in this particular short or reel or whatever it was, right, there was this young man that was standing at attention. You can see the swell of tears rolled up in his eyes. He's literally at attention while everybody is tapping that one out, tapping that one out, tapping this one out, tapping that one out. But he had no one there for him. Now pause for a second, because that young man stayed at attention. He stayed in order. He was obedient to his commanding officer, saying, before you can before you can just be released, someone in your family have to tap you out. Somebody else have to tap you out. Well, there's the guy standing there, and you starting to see people leave, and people start to make plans on where they're going to eat and what they're going to do, and all of that stuff. And that sounds beautiful. But he was still out of attention. I want you guys just for a second to think about that. I'm talking to the men. Think about that. Think about that's your son standing out of attention and you didn't make it. Your son standing out of attention and you decided you didn't feel like going. Your son standing out of attention and you decided you didn't feel like being around his mama people. Your son standing out of attention and you're just up there playing a video games. See, all of those things, just because you laid down and fathered a child does not take you and release you from not being the dad of that child. No. And in short, this young man standing at attention, just standing there. Now you're starting to see people disappear. Now it's starting to get a little thin. The tears swelling up in his eyes, starting to drop now. He's at attention. And lo and behold, somebody he met just in consequential meeting and met. And they, I guess, had an exchange and a conversation or conversed for a little while. And then that was it. It was great. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. If that gentleman did not tap him out, he would still be standing at attention to be released to enjoy his graduation. But that gentleman saw him and he called his name. And he called his name. And then he tapped him to release him. And you can see the sweat from swell of tears to just a smile that he was released. It didn't matter, was it the father or somebody or uncle? It was that somebody paid attention to him for just that moment to release him from going from graduation to being free for a little bit before he takes his next assignment. That was powerful. My question to all of the men, how many people have you tapped to release them to go into life? How many people have you stayed in the gap for, being a dad to someone else's who fathered a child, but they were inconsequential in that individual's life? How many of them? Or let me go a step further. What about those individuals that did no fault of their own and may have died early, may have did other things, but you are too big on yourself to help somebody else? See, now, dads, fathers, we have to now step up and take even more accountability. Look at what's going on in the world. Look at what's going on in society right now. We have to now take those opportunities to begin to now pour into these young men. Women, y'all have done an amazing job of you're born the child and you raise them up to a certain point and help them in terms of from nurturing from a mother's standpoint. But you cannot teach a man how to be a man. I know you think, I'm gonna do good and I'm gonna do, you can't do that. And so man has to teach a man how to be a man. Now, I know, ladies, you do a great job, but it has to be a man. So men, it's time to step up. There are some men that are out there. There's some young boys that are out there. As a matter of fact, let me go a step beyond that. There are some men that still need nurturing, that still need that psychological perspective because they never had it their whole life. They still need someone to pour into their life. They still need someone to sit them down and share with them different wisdom from a male perspective. They still need that. So whether it's a young boy or maybe an older man, they still need it. They still need it. Now, there are dads that are out there that are absolutely phenomenal. You know, they spend time with their children, whether they're divorced, whether they're still married, whether they're single, they still doing their thing. They're showing up every possible time they can. They're there, they're nurturing, they're sharing perspectives. They're doing every single thing that they possibly can do to make sure that child has every single thing that they need. Shout out to you. You get your flowers today. Hopefully, somebody somewhere along the line will share that same thing with you. Share the thank you, share the graciousness, share the love, all of those things, and the thank you and the gratitude for you raising other young men and other young women to be that dad in their life. You know, sometimes just showing up to a game, just showing up to in New Orleans a parade, just showing up for breakfast, just showing up for dinner with them, taking them to get ice cream, taking them to get a slushy, whatever it is. So we gotta do it. We have to do it. Now let me go into this last one, and then we're gonna climb on out of here because it's getting ready to be Father's Day, and I know you're gonna be bombarded, men, with an incredible amount of love and gifts and sharing and monies and all of that stuff. People are gonna send your way because that's what we do for the mothers. So I know we're doing it for the fathers now, right? So dad provides emotional support and guidance to their child. They play an important role in shaping their personality, their values, their beliefs, and is critical in building strong and healthy relationships with their children, right? So let's kind of break that up. Emotional support, we talked about that because you want to be there. Guidance, man, boy, that is important. Ladies and gentlemen, that is important. Men, that is a critical role. It is nothing like when my dad was so fortunate to be here to pick up and just ask him a question. It could be something simple, but you just need that question answered. And he gave the guidance to it. It was something very simple, right? When you have an opportunity to talk to your dad and do those things, and you can actually make that happen, boy, it's an amazing thing. I don't know, this brought something else to my mind. Children, or younger people or older people that are listening right now to this podcast at whatever point in time, and you broke the relationship or he's broken the relationship, you can still reach out yourself and just check to see how they're doing. Sometimes you have to break that ice to then allow them to receive yes. So sometimes you may have to pick up the phone and call. You know, don't wait. Oh well, he did this to me or she did that to me, so they have to call me. Oh yeah, that's so. Let me share this with you. When the casket closes, it's permanent. It's not partial. It's not for fake. It's not for play. When the casket closes, that's it. It's 100% shut, locked, and sealed. You will never, no longer be able to converse, communicate with that individual ever again in life. Ever. So whatever issues you may have, get them cleaned up, where y'all could communicate and could begin to be a very vital role in each individual's life, right? So, but in shifting out of that, dads, that's what we do. That's what we do. We give that important role. We begin to shape and share things with them to create their personalities. Now we talk about values. Now we can't make them do the same or have the same values as we do, but we can actually absolutely present that to them, share that with them, help them understand, walk with them through things, talk with them through things so they can understand their value. A lot of times, men today do not understand their value. They don't understand how good they really are. So they don't understand the value. And when they don't understand the value, other people take advantage of them. Whether it's other men, whether it's other women, whether it's both, if they don't understand their value, then that's a whole nother topic of discussion. But I'm not going to go into that today. Just remember, dads. Just remember, dads. We need to make sure we are creating that environment for them. Their beliefs. Obviously, we share our beliefs. You know, my dad was Catholic. Yeah, he was Catholic, and I was Catholic for a while. You know, there was no choice in when you were going to church, right? Whether you were going to church on Sunday, we were going to church. But then it became, all right, we're going to church. Well, you got a choice. You can go with me, talking about my dad. Well, he was Catholic, so I knew 45 minutes to an hour. You know, I'm throwing a do sign up. I'm out. We good. We have checked off that box. On the other side, my mom was Baptist. Now they may be in there 2 hours. I don't know. I can tell you a countless amount of times we had went to church, came back, and they were still in church. They were doing their thing, right? For me as a young kid, I just wanted to go, let me check this box, let me do what I need to do, and I'm out. I threw the deuces sign up and I was done. Well, as time went on, right, my beliefs changed and I was like, I need to get more out of it, right? So I went from Catholic, then I started looking into other churches and other things because I felt I wasn't being fed. And I got deeper and deeper into it and started to understand it more and more. And I got further and further into it. And all of a sudden, bam, you know, I started moving to that church and became got ordained and all of those other things at a church here in New Orleans. And then from there, I left and I went to Atlanta. Then I'm now in my home in Atlanta. So, you know, and then I went to a different church. So all of those things just moving me into my beliefs changed from initially that I was Catholic. Yes, I went through everything. I went through all this stuff. I went to catechism and everything. I got catechized and yep, all of that. Did it all. So I was definitely there. But as time went on, my beliefs started to change a little bit different. I started to make some different moves and shakes and wanted to explore some different things and venues and avenues. And that's what I did. Nothing's wrong with that. But at least at the beginning, my values still believed in me being a Christian, me being spiritual, me, all of that still stayed, but I wanted to look at it from a different view. Does that make sense to everybody? Because I wanted to make sure you guys still are there with me, but also where we were going. So, dads, again, even in building a critical in building a strong and healthy relationship, so many relationships now are broken. So many of them are beyond repair. But I'm sorry, I still believe in God, and I know He can do all things, right? But here's that part. If we continue to be a dad at the very beginning, we don't have to worry about on the back end what may or may not happen. We don't have to worry about that because on the front end, yes, sir, on the front end, if we begin pouring into their life and conversing with them and opening up and all of those different things and sharing the wisdom that you have learned from bumping your head and helping them walk through different paths of lives and making sure they understand different things and helping them to grow and be beyond into that next step. See, that's when you get good. That's when you begin to build those relationships and they become strong. So later on in life, when you're not there and you have the opportunity for them to go down a negative road or a positive road, they pick up the phone and call. Hey, I was thinking about this. What you think? And then now the wisdom of you can come out, the wisdom of your creator can come out and share with them. No, don't do that because of this. I'm not going to make a decision for you, but I want to share with you the things that I've been through so you can understand it and see and know that it's literally that good. It's literally that powerful, or it's really that bad. Regardless of what it is, you're always there to pour into that individual. So, family, listen, I know this is short, if you will, and it's not a lot to say about it, but it's Father's Day. And the reason why I wanted to talk about fathers and Father's Day, because a lot of times we don't get the recognition as fathers or dads that's out there. We just don't, right? Most of the time, it's about the ladies, and y'all did a phenomenal job, but we don't get a chance to talk about the dads in detail. We don't get the chance to love on them, hug them, hold them up, and thank them for the things that they did or have done and continue to do. Some people may look at it and be like, well, yeah, well, all he did was this. Well, he did something. If it was just to provide the other part of creating a human being, he did that. He did that. Regardless of you mad or you say you were drunk or incapacitated, he did that. Now is our time to pour into those individuals, to pour into those children, whether they are 4, whether they are 2, whether they are 1, whether they are 44, whether they are 54, whether they are 64. Release those things. Release those things. I'm gonna close out with this. Um, the last days when my dad still was living, and we were just conversing and talking about just different things. And I remember I said, Dad, whenever that day comes, right? What do you think we should do with the house? I was talking about his house. And he's always a guy that had a plan or, real wisdom. Nothing, you didn't go deep with him. He had to go deep. It was just this, oh, I think this, I think that. And we were just in his little man cave conversing, and I'm talking, and I'm about to suffocate from his smoke. For those that know, you know. So I'm just sitting there and I'm talking to him, and I'm like, oh, okay, Dad. All right. So we're just talking, and he's watching TV, and we're talking, and we're just talking. And then, I'm asking, well, we think should we rent the house and, come back with me to Atlanta, or, well, what is it that you want to do? What you're looking to do and how you want to do it and all of those things. And just to have that conversation with him was priceless. Now, why am I saying it priceless to all of y'all out there, to individuals? Because so many people, I keep feeling this come back to me, but so many of you are literally saying you don't want to talk to your father slash dad because you're angry, because you're mad. Man, I'm telling you, when I was able to, fortunate enough to close my dad's casket, I can't pick it back up. I can't go back and say, oh, let me raise it up. It's locked. I can't go in the cemetery and be like, oh, let me go it on and get this out. Let me dig him. No, we can't do that. We can't. So for all of the individuals, both dads, fathers, and children, make sure you mend this Father's Day. If nothing else, make sure you give a gift that they can't repay you. Mend it. Make sure you say Happy Father's Day. Make sure you pick up the phone and call. Don't send no dry text. Let me text Happy Father's Day. And the entire, what is it's no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Don't do that. Pick up the phone and say Happy Father's Day. You might have a conversation for 30 seconds. I will call my dad in a conversation, and everybody that know my dad, y'all know what I'm talking about. The conversation will be real quick. Hey, Dad, Happy Father's Day, man. What you doing? Oh, nothing, sitting in the man cave. All right, then look, I gotta go. I'm watching TV and hang up. That was the conversation, right? But we called. We called. We called. So, call your mentors, call your mentees, call everybody that's out there that's a father, that's a father, that's a dad, and just wish them a happy Father's Day. I'm not asking you to say that they need to be the best father in the world. I'm not asking you to judge them. I'm saying pick up the phone and call them and wish them a happy Father's Day. Stop sending text messages for Father's Day. You don't send a text message to your mama for Mother's Day. So don't send a text to your dad for Father's Day. Stop giving them socks, one pair of socks and an ugly tie. Don't do that. Don't do that. Y'all be giving big bags and $1,500 bags and shoppings and all of this other stuff, taking people out the country and doing that's great. What you gonna do for your dad? Oh, we get a pair of socks. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's do better. Let's do better. All right. Let's do better, family. So let's get on out of here. Let's fly on out of here. Y'all know next week we're gonna be right on back on, as we say, right on true here. Right on true here. Yeah, we got some other guests that's lined up. They coming through. And we're going to do an amazing podcast again next week. I'm excited. I have some big announcements that's coming. I'm waiting for some things to shake loose and shake free, but we got some big things coming. So I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna get more involved in social media, which y'all know me. I might click in and click out and be done. That just ain't me. I might do some more engagements this year as we continue to climb along. So listen, I appreciate you guys. God bless. We're gonna see y'all on the beaches of the world. For all my people that's out there, whoa, nah, wow. I'm gonna see y'all next week. Be out. Peace.